Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Friday Club, courtesy of Campus 24, and as always, in association with our friends at AMKIS. My name is Dominic Moon, and I'm your host of the fortnightly interviews with some of the biggest and brightest names in admissions and marketing arena. Today, we have someone that many of you will already know, I am sure. Right, Bish Muir. After attending Wickham Abbey and Exeter University, she started work in the city for a financial services marketing company. Then joined a charity as publicity manager, editing their magazine, commissioning articles and photographers, and writing press releases a little bit before social media, just a little bit. She then thought of the whole idea of work could wait, and decided in her wisdom to go off and have a ski season, having lied to her employers that she's a really good chef. She then did another season. Having moved to Devon, with first baby on the way, she worked freelance for the next 10 years as a marketing consultant and project manager. She eventually grew up a little bit more and went back to work full-time for a marketing agency who I know called Bray Leno, based in Devon, dealing with clients such as BP, Castrol, Mondelez, Miele, and Plymouth Gin. Nice. In 2016, she joined West Buckland School and has worked in the marketing office since then, being a jack of all trades, as you do with a small team where everybody just simply has to muck in. She's now on the move, interestingly here, folks, to take on the new role as Director of External Relations at Habs Monmouth. Interesting. A couple of notable things. She was a fairy liquid in the fairy liquid at the age of 5, played a witch. Don't know what the comment on that one, Bish. She wrote a cookery book whilst working as a freelancer called the Use It All Cookbook, and it still sells. So Use It All Cookbook. Come on, let's put some money in the bank. Completed her CIM level 6 professional marketing qualification in April. Married, 2 children, 1 dog, 1 cat. Loves sport. Used to play lacrosse for England and everybody, and still represents Devon at tennis, like skiing, clearly. Reading, hates gardening and lazy and ignorant people. Haha. Some bio, Bish. I enjoyed reading that. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent,
thank you for having me on.
No, more than happy. And I'm sure everybody's really happy to hear some of your forthright, outright, and straight talking, as many have become to know. Here we go. There's the bell. So some journey. Marketing agency to schools, to skiing, to marketing, to school marketing, marketing manager, catch-all, director of external relations. Times are changing. Bish, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing admissions and marketing departments nowadays? Apart from
well, I mean, I sort of sometimes feel like we're being attacked from all sides, but I think some schools, the biggest challenge is still getting the relevant investment that you need into the two departments. And some schools have been much better at that, and realizing that it is a major part of the school strategy, and therefore having the right people in place is really important. However, smaller schools, that is a problem where budgets are tight. And so I do understand that. So although it is a challenge, I also do kind of understand that for some schools it's easier than others. I also think that there is in some schools a lag between admissions and marketing people being taken seriously and teaching staff being taken seriously. Sorry to say it, but I still think in some schools it exists, and that any schools that don't have their admissions and marketing people on the SLT or SMT are, really missing out. I mean, these are the people who have their ear to the ground and know, what is going on. And I think, if you are just merely using your teaching staff on the SMT, you're not really getting the full picture. So I think there are very few schools who still do that, and omit an A&M people from their SMT, but I know there are still some. You're all out there. I know where you are.
Right. I'm not going to fall into your little trap yet. But what I want to just go back a second. So small school, in your bio, we said, you're a catch-all, you do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, For us, I mean, you say small school. The average size senior school in boarding is 410. Okay, and you've got, how many have you got in senior school?
In the senior school, about 460.
Okay, so you're bigger than the average bear, right?
Mm.
Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But equally, is it such a simple equation as more staff and more budget money, however you deploy it? Is it as simple to equal success? Is it that simple? I will have more kids, more in the right areas from the right regions. Is it as simple as that?
No,
Okay.
it isn't as simple as that. And that is why you really, I know you and I have talked, and I know you're going to bring it up. We've talked about what skills people need in the industry, and that perhaps the traditional things that people ask for aren't really relevant anymore. I would say the thing you can't get away from in this job is admin. And if you've got good admin support, you then need on top of that a layer of people who really are skillful at their job. And that doesn't require necessarily university degrees and stuff like that, but what it does require is those qualities that are going to relate to parents, are going to relate to governors, that know and understand what the market needs, and that's someone with a pair of these. And if you're good at listening and you really take it in and you really understand and do your homework, that is what is required. Now, you can only do your homework in order to do your strategy, in order to produce your marketing plan or your admissions plan, if you have the time to do it, and you're not spending all that time on ISAMs, updating stuff, sending letters out to people. So in answer to your question, Dom, no, you could have 10 people in a team and they're all useless. But unless you have that layer of support, admin support. Why are you laughing?
Because 10 people, I was thinking about a really naughty question, which was 10 people with degrees versus 10 entrepreneurs and people who've got history working in commercial world.
Yeah, I would take the latter, definitely.
Okay.
However, if we've our people who are fantastic and real whizzes at admin here, none of them have degrees, but they are all blooming good at doing admin, and they are so efficient. And most of them have to keep track of what I'm doing because my head's up here doing the blue sky stuff. I don't want to have to worry about the admin, but I don't have to because I know I've got a really good team of people who are managing that. And it's horses for courses, isn't it? Those people don't necessarily want to go and stand and represent the school at a school's fair, because that's not what their skills. So I think it so depends on your skill set. And I know as independent schools we're very good at blowing our own trumpets about how we push for soft skills. Well, if ever there was a job or an industry where you needed soft skills, this is it. And if you've got those, then you are well on your way to having a kind of a good team.
Is that a little tidbit from you saying to heads and bursars who are currently employing, which many of them are, because we know what's happening, directors of admissions and marketing, saying, don't ask for the degree, ask for the right skills, right? I mean,
yeah. Okay, so I would say exactly a degree. I mean, my degree was in geology. How has that helped my my career? It hasn't. I mean, I can promise you that nobody is interested. No prospective parents are interested in what happens when a metamorphic rock changes its form. They're not. They want to know what their children are going to be doing. So my degree was absolutely useless. And that's why I did my CIM. And I think I know that we sort of we're going to talk about CPD, but CPD is much more important. If you've got the core skills, and that does not include a degree, then if your employer is a good one, they will say, okay, well, you need to improve in this area. I'm happy to invest in you and put you on this course. I mean, I went to the school. I said I wanted to do the CIM level 6 because I thought it would just help me be a little bit more disciplined in my processing. developing processes. And so I went to them and I kind of put forward my ideas and why I was doing it, and they were very supportive and backed me, and I did the course, and they have reaped the benefits from that.
Yeah.
But actually, what I would do if someone came to me for a job in marketing or admissions, I would much rather see how they react to a difficult conversation on a phone. How do they write a slightly awkward letter? How do they approach an open day? That kind of thing is much more important to me than a degree, which counts for nothing.
Yeah, I did employ a young man with an English degree, a very good one, and I ended up having to sub all his work here in with my 1980s GCSE, subbing all his work that went out past my window. Okay, so Mark, you're a marketeer first, right? So
yeah.
Even though you've got your geology degree and your levels, you've been pushing yourself, continuing to push your own professional development. Despite juggling a career and family and all the rest of it, it's a bit sad, is it not, that you were the one pushing for it? It should be more. It should be.
What line are you pushing me down here?
Well, because you said that the business, the school and the business has benefited by that, right? That's simple. Yes. So my question is, why the hell didn't they realize that? And they probably realized it now, but shouldn't they have not been pushing for your development? Full stop. I mean, I hope your head doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this boils down to what I call investing in your admissions and marketing team. I mean, CPD for teaching is much more structured, and it seems to be available much more readily through insets, through opportunities that are sort of thrown to people. I don't know any schools, and I can't speak for other schools. I can only speak for where I am. That there doesn't seem to be that kind of structure for support staff. We are not support staff, but that is what most people know us as, for support staff. And it would be really nice if there was that level, that kind of level of investment. And it doesn't, it is a financial investment, but if you think about how much it costs to replace somebody, when they've built up all that experience and all that knowledge of the school, all the experience, all the relationships with parents, with governors, with teachers and everything, and then they leave because they don't feel that they're being invested in or valued.
Yeah.
You've got to start all over again. It's got to be cheaper, hasn't it, to keep them and invest in their future. I mean, it may not even, as I say, mean necessarily paying them more. It's just giving them more tools to do their job well. And I think some schools are really missing a trick if they're not taking that seriously.
And it's not as if you're breaking any model. You're just saying apply the same rules that you do for your teaching cohort to other members of the school team. Yes. Because it is a team, of course.
Absolutely.
And give them that chance to develop themselves.
Yeah.
Go full circle. Who benefits?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, it doesn't matter what profession you're in or what industry, it is the same, isn't it? It's always number one rule is to look after your staff. And actually, as I say, staff satisfaction doesn't necessarily equal more pay. I mean, obviously, we'd all like that, but that's not necessarily, it doesn't always equate like that. It's about people, making people feel valued and giving them the tools to do their job well.
How long did it take you to get the sign off for them to invest in for you to do your course?
Not that long, actually. I have to say they were pretty good about it. I made sure I went with all the facts, and I made sure, I think that's the thing, is that as long as you've got a really good argument that, and a good reason, and the school can see what they're benefiting out of it, I think then to them it's a no-brainer. Yeah. Yes, of course, I shouldn't have had to do that, but they don't necessarily know that the CIM level 6 exists, because unless you are sort of tuned into that, and that you wouldn't necessarily know that was available. So I don't entirely blame schools for not showing that, but what they can do is that they can communicate that they are open to suggestions from from individuals or from line managers, or you go to your line manager with a compelling reason why you want to train on that. Equally, your line manager may say, in a review, they might say, well, actually, we feel that you're slightly weak in this department, therefore we would like to put you on. And actually, most employers would, if you dress it up rightly, it's not supposed to be a criticism, it's supposed to be a support. And if you say it right, then they will see that as you supporting them, rather than you going, yeah, well, that's an area that we need to improve.
Yeah, we're probably being a bit unfair, I suspect, to heads or line managers, because they don't know what they don't know. So you going in and saying,
No,
if you
right.
give me this, X equals Y equals Z equals good for the school, they'll go, yeah, oh, I didn't realize. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Sometimes you have to produce a sort of compelling, if you produce all the facts and then you say in return, this is, you're going to get, I feel that I'm going to benefit by learning X, Y, Z, and I can apply that to that, as long as that makes sense, and 2 and 2 make 4, then the chances are they'll probably, put it into the budget.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't see that most schools would object to that, but as you say, they don't know what they don't know.
No. And I suppose if you did a pop quiz on anybody in school and said, what do they do in admissions and marketing? Most of them would just say Instagram. And let's right. Dominic, stop being a naughty boy, I think. Otherwise, I
Yes,
get
Dominic, you're leading me down a path I don't want to go.
Okay, right. So happiness at work, all relevant, and training, and again, it's not always about the money. We have recently released some research which said 21% of staff now have flexible working. Do you think this is a template for admissions and marketing? This is what we should be doing. We don't need to be in school in term time, do we?
No.
In half term.
Well, no, we don't. I mean, I think I know a number of schools from your weekly Zoom meetings. I know there are a number of schools who have realized that, to keep the staff happy, actually it makes sense for them to be able to take some time off during term time. I mean, not excessively time. I mean, we're not talking excessive. I'm not saying that someone can take a sabbatical for 6 weeks in the middle of term, but to take the odd week. I mean, we all do it I've up until 2016, I'd worked in industries, loads of different industries. Nobody ever batted an eyelid about when you took your week's holiday. Okay, if it was leading up to a massive launch of something, then that's not very advisable, and your line manager will probably say no. But the point is that we've all managed to do that, and you get someone to cover, and everybody knows when everyone's on holiday, and you just cover for it. So there's no reason why that shouldn't work. And flexible working, I mean, my son's girlfriend has been staying with us. She works for a well-known pharmaceutical industry, where she is basically is a digital nomad. I mean, she can work from anywhere, and she logs in, logs on, and she can do what she can take her laptop and work from wherever she likes. So, and she's 25. Why can't we do that? We're substantially older than that. Well, I am anyway. I feel like I should be able to trust myself and my team to be able to do that. So I don't think there's really any excuse for not doing flexible working.
Oh, you could argue, that you already are doing flexible working, because you don't do 9 to 5. You do longer than that.
Yeah.
So you're already flexible. It's just not in your favor.
It's just not in my favor, exactly. Quite. When you start asking for it back, it's like, really?
Yeah. I mean, days in lieu and all that kind of stuff. That's another
well,
hot potato.
that's another question. Days off in lieu. Okay, does that include a 13-hour flight to Hong Kong, or is that overnight and therefore not a working day? I don't do it out of choice to sit on a smelly plane for 13 hours with my feet cramped up. So it's where there has to be a certain amount of trust and flexibility, and I think it harks back to the days when school admin support staff equals school admin, 3 secretaries downstairs in the school, 1 helping out the headmaster and the other the others sort of doing general admin, in which case they probably weren't required in the holidays anyway. So it was just assumed that all support staff would have the same holiday in, you know, as the teachers. But of course, we know that we are needed more than ever during the holidays, especially the summer holidays for all the lastminute.coms. And where are we? We're all trying to scrabble around, trying to get our week's holiday. But so-and-so's taking the holiday then, so I can't, because that's, you know, and who's going to cover GCSE results and A-level results? Oh my God, we can't, because I've still got 3 weeks to take, and I've got 4 days to take it in. You know, it's ludicrous. So
it's ludicrous. You're quite right, Bish. It is, but we still love it, right? I mean, that's the thing. You still love it.
Well, we're still here.
Oh, okay. Well, let's part that there. Okay, so CIM level 6, marketeer, work for a big marketing agency, marketing manager, about to go on to a big role at an even bigger school. Are you loving ChatGTP? Are you embracing it? So, I mean, are you only about 6 months younger than me, aren't you? So.
I love you, Dom.
I've found ChatGTP. I've typed things in. I've asked it to create drafts for me, which is insanely amazing.
Yeah.
What have you got lined up from your perspective?
I have to say, I think you're a little ahead of me. We are at West Buckland. We're slightly restructuring our admissions and marketing department at the moment. So, which means we're a little bit short-staffed just at the moment. So I have to say my time has not been spent on there. So you, my friend, are probably ahead of me on that game. However, that, you know, Sir Andy Kemp, has he got a sir yet? Is he sir?
He should have.
I have got him almost on repeat on my, you know, sleep app, so that I can listen to him day in, day out, and eventually I'll have time to embark on it.
Yes, well, he's on this now, the Friday Club now. So you must dial in for some more wise words from Sir Dr. Andy, and many letters after his name.
Yes,
okay,
many.
so you know, the normal world has got in the way. Restructuring can't actually get to this kind of thing, which I think is a really interesting illustration of, you know, if you get some time to do this, it's going to benefit you. You just can't. You just can't dig it out from whereas, because the real world's in the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in a slightly odd situation as well, whereas I'm gearing up to leave one place, and therefore I've got things like handover notes and all that kind of thing. So I have to say, it's not necessarily in my normal world. I probably would have done it, but at the moment it's a bit you know, it's just not a priority, but I will be on it, I promise you. Absolutely.
Okay, as we're talking about time and lack thereof, and getting your fingers dirty on all these different types of sort of ways to market, I suppose is what I'm thinking nowadays. You're communicating to parents, they're getting younger and younger, damn them. Even the staff are getting younger and younger, and so, you know, there are so many different platforms to communicate. You can't just do a Friday newsletter email and think covered, that's it. You know, what's your preferred platforms? What are you doing? How do you have a whizzy bang person, or do you outsource? How do you stay on top of all of it?
Again, you know, coming from the angle of working with a very sort of skeleton team, we do outsource. So we outsource all our social media ads. So not necessarily all our sort of communication to parents, but our social media ads, we outsource that, and I find that really helpful. But I think, you know, there are a number of platforms, as you said. And I think it's a case of setting aside some time to have a play with them, and then seeing which one you prefer. So, you know, things like Hootsuite, you know, it took me a bit of time to get my head around that, but I did eventually, and that's really helpful. In terms of, you know, email marketing, things like Woodpecker, is quite useful. But again, you know, I actually, this is where, if you are a marketing manager and these things aren't particularly familiar, or you haven't used them before, if you do outsource some of your stuff, I actually just said, okay guys, I want you to go away and do some research and come back and tell me which one I should be using. I mean, that sounds, you know, that's a fairly loose brief, but I think having worked with them for a number of years, they knew what my capabilities or lack of were, and therefore, you know, anything that was massively complex and required an awful lot of input was not something I was going to be particularly interested in. So, you know, use those that know, is what I would say. You know, they are out there, and it can be a bit of a jungle. So use people who know, and then spend some time playing with it. And actually, if you have to say to your head or whoever's your line manager, look, I'm going to go and spend a day at home. This goes back to our flexible working. And I'm just going to play around with MailChimp or, you know, Woodpecker, whatever it is you're using, then go and do it, because it'll save you so much time in the long run.
Yeah. Interesting. You keep saying skeleton team, and I think that is the majority, not the minority. So
yeah.
So I'm hoping that resonates with a lot of people. When you employ these third-party organizations, I mean, you assume it's their job to stay up with the technology, isn't it? So you don't have to worry, because you can't, because your job is so broad.
Yeah.
Because it's not just marketing a school, is it?
No, you know, my job isn't just marketing, it's everything. Yeah, I would hope so. And I think, you know, it is worth every year having a bit of a get together with your marketing or whoever you're outsourcing, you know, to, and actually have a really good face-to-face. We had one day where, you know, we had lunch, we had, you know, we sat down all day and we really kind of bashed through everything that was, and one of the things was, okay, what's the latest technology that I should be knowing about? Even if I don't use it, I need to know about it, and tell me how this would enhance what we do. And, you know, and if they sort of go, oh, well, I mean, you know, have a think about whether your money is being used wisely. And I think it slightly depends what you want from them. If it's literally just another pair of hands, then maybe, and they're a bit cheaper, then maybe you can't expect them to know all the latest technology. But if you're going to a marketing agency, I think you do expect, you know, you can demand quite a lot and say, look, you know, I need you to be ahead of the curve because I'm way behind it. And it's not my priority. You know, it's not, I've got a million other things to think about. So, and that is what you are paying your retainer for. Is their knowledge and their input. So I think you can kind of push back quite a lot and expect that kind of thing.
Is it as simple as, so 2 hours of their time, it would have been a day of you trying to figure it all out?
Oh, totally. I think you overestimate my abilities.
but I think it's okay. The point I'm trying to make is, when you've got skeleton teams, when you've got things that are moving so quickly nowadays, and we're supposed to know everything, you're supposed to be on top of stuff and moving the school forward, rebranding, doing websites, all that kind of stuff. You just have no capacity within a 24-hour window to do everything you want to do. And if there are people out there, I suppose, who are thinking, crap, you know, then give it to somebody else to do.
Yeah.
Was that that was a sense of relief, sense of just great stress relief and all that, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I you know, in terms of, again, sometimes you have to think, how much does it cost me a month to have that person, to have that support? So what am I paying every month? And for that, I'm getting X, Y, Z. How much would the equivalent of employing somebody be? You know, you add on national insurance and everything that goes with employing somebody.
Yep.
And again, you sort of take that to your bursar or whatever and say, look, you know, the requirement is there, because if you want all these things to be fulfilled, well, we can't possibly do it all. Therefore, we're either going to prioritize, and some things are going to fall off the list, or for this amount, you can have, you know, you can have it all. For me, you know, also, if you're like me and you know where your weaknesses lie, get someone else to do it. You know, don't struggle on yourself. I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not so good at. So, you know, if somebody else is better than me, I am the first person to go, you're better than me, do it.
That's very very entrepreneurial or Richard Branson-esque. Surround yourself with the people that can do the things you can't do.
Exactly. Don't duplicate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Bish, we're coming to the end. That's quick, isn't it? How that comes around very quickly. I know. Amazing.
Yes.
Right. As always, we have some standard questions
Oh,
to
here we
finish
go.
with.
Okay.
So this is just what we call the quick fire round, just so
Yep.
people can get an understanding of your psyche or how much of a head case you are. Who is your hero?
David Niven.
David Niven. Oh, lovely. If you could live anywhere.
Amsterdam.
Really? You know what?
Mm.
I'm not going to go near that one, boys and girls. However, she's living in Devon. I thought she was going to say right where I am, but Amsterdam. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Biggest fear.
Being buried underground.
Okay. Beach or snow?
Snow.
Of course, because that's the old ski school. Karaoke song.
I had a long think about this, and I think I'd like to channel my inner Bonnie Tyler and do a bit of a holding out for a hero.
You can just have about 40 marbles before you do it, and you've got it sorted. Nickname.
Are you joking? I wasn't born Bish.
No, I know, but for anybody out there, tell them the story. So your name's Nicola.
Because what about why I'm called Bish?
Yeah.
My real name's Nicola, and when I went to my first school, there were 6 Nicolas in my class, and my dad used to make up nicknames for us, really silly ones. And on the first day of class, my teacher said, "I can't call you all Nicola because you're all called Nicola, and someone must be called something else." And I just piped up that my dad used to call me Bish. And so that was it. And then I went to senior school and then to university with the same people. And so Bish just followed me, and that's it.
There you go, everybody. See, now you know her real name.
Yeah.
Right. Going back in time, where would you stop? Where would you go?
I would go back to the 1980s, not for the fashion or the hairstyles. I just want to point out, although we seem to be going back that way, just because it was a time in my life when I traveled, I was wild, I was a bit of a party girl, and I had no commitments, and life was sweet. Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, I remember them only too well. And then, of course, I write down woodpecker here, thinking that was some new technology. But in those days, woodpecker was
a cider.
Was a cider.
Yeah. Do you remember Diamond White?
I do, only too well. It gives me acid reflux right now as I think about it.
Just thinking about it.
What is the one thing that you will never do again?
Get married.
Right, Bish, Nicola Bish Muir, thank you so much. That we've finished right on the EastEnders dum 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 dum, and then we'll come back next week for more on Bish's reason why she wouldn't get married ever again. Right, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Some really good nuggets in there, Bish. About outsourcing, blue sky thinking, CPD training, having time to yourself to think about things, taking time away to go and work on projects when you need to understand, and don't be afraid to ask for help as well, just as important. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in and listening. That's all this week from the Friday Club. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for putting up with my hay fever, my eyes, and my cold. The lurgy finally caught up with me. Bish, as always, a pleasure. See you soon. Thank you, everybody at home. Thank you.